Next speaker is Professor Dr. Adnan Abid. He is an associate professor at University of Management and Technology, Pakistan. He is also the director of Center for Advancement of Science and Technology at the same university. Today he will talk about big data. I would like to invite Dr. Adnan in front.
Presentation material. I'm not going to talk about big data today, so there was some miscommunication probably. I'm going to talk about some work related to language processing, and that is about sign language, Pakistan Sign Language in principle. So it's something on which I have been working with my research group for the last 3 years, and I believe that this work is now in a position that we should present it at several different forums, like this prestigious forum of ICOSST. So we would be looking forward to having some real good feedback from all of you, because at KICS a lot of work has been done on Urdu language as well. So I assume that with this talk I'm going to get some real good feedback and directions and possible collaborations to engage more and more people so that we can work collaboratively for the betterment of our people in Pakistan, particularly the deaf community of Pakistan. So, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So, the idea started with my visit to George Mason University in 2016. When I visited George Mason University, so there we attended the School of Education. We were trained about designing curriculum, pedagogy, cognition, critical thinking, and several other aspects of teaching and learning. So special education and technology was also one of the prominent areas that we touched upon during that visit. So with this, I had this inclination to work on some areas of, say, where we can work for the community to make their lives easier. And then I attended SIPCI in 2017, and there I attended a workshop that was titled ICT 4D, Information and Communication Technology for Development. So a couple of years ago, ITU also organized a conference, ICT 4D. One of the sequel was conducted here in Pakistan, in Lahore, and that gave me this passion that yes, why not to use ICT for the development of Pakistani people. So with this aim, I started working on a perspective. We have a special education center in UMT, University of Management and Technology, where I work, and there are a lot of deaf students who are studying there in different degree programs. So what we thought that how do they get their education? So how they get their education is the following: that their teachers are not deaf, and they are not complacent, they are not conformant, or they are not used to do these sign gestures. So what they have to do is they have to have yet another interpreter in person, and as they speak, the interpreters perform gestures for them, and this is how they tend to get the education or the lecture through like this. There used to be a program, Bolte Haath, in Pakistan television as well, plenty of years ago, maybe 20 years ago. So it was like that. So what happened was that we discussed certain ideas, and we thought, why not to come up with a virtual interpreter? An interpreter that can solve this problem that if I am speaking or there is some text, so why not there should be a virtual interpreter, a computer system should do all this interpretation for the deaf community, and that can solve a lot of problems, and that can be really helpful for the deaf community at large. So this is what we started this was the idea where we started from, and then we started learning several different aspects of sign language. We started learning about what technologically and in terms of research, what has already been accomplished in different parts of the world. So let's start with some fundamentals of sign language in the first place. So it's a language of gestures, as you all know, and there is a huge number of population, which is like 5% of the people around the globe. They suffer from hearing impairment. So the number seems small, but obviously with this scale of world population, it is like 460 million people around the globe. And in Pakistan, there are almost 9 million people who are hard of hearing. And across the globe, this number 460 million is expected to grow to 900 million in 2050. So a lot of young population is expected to be suffering from this problem, as we have several environmental and other genetic and a long list of issues. So, like natural languages, sign languages are also different all across the globe. So there are like more than 200 different international sign languages. And on top of that, there are several different dialects of sign languages within countries. Just like here we have in Pakistan, we have Punjabi language and Sindhi language and Pashto. So these dialects still exist, and these are the regional languages. For sign language, having a dialect is pretty natural because this language is transferred from person to person. So the local vicinity has a strong impact on the kind of gestures different persons perform. So because there is no formal education prevalent, particularly in Pakistan, so there is a lot of variation in performing different gestures as far as Pakistan sign language is concerned. So these are several different, this is one particular example. If we say lie, so the sign of lie in KBK, in Punjab, in Balochistan, and in Sindh, it's all different. So you see, it's one word, jhoot, lie, and there are several different gestures for each and every region of the country. So if we see the taxonomy, so it says that structurally the gesture is composed of manual and non-manual features. So manual means the gesture, the part of gesture we perform with hands, so it can be performed with a single hand or with double hands, and there is some movement associated with it, and there is positioning with respect to the rest of the body. So this is how we identify, or we classify, or we tend to define a given gesture. And there are some non-manual features as well, which are shoulder shrugging, your facial expressions, lifting your eyebrows, etc. So there were few components which were needed to figure out that how can we come up with this virtual interpreter working. So the first and foremost thing was, do we really have a corpus for Pakistan Sign Language or any other languages, and how can we actually make use of it to develop our own interpreter? This is where we started from. So there were certain corpuses available, but they were very limited in the first place, a few hundred words, and then all of them were in the form of either a video recording or GIFs or maybe at times static images. So this was not easy to use. I mean, it was not readily available to be seamlessly adjusted into a system which possibly could render it and perform several gestures for the deaf community. So apart from that, we also need to understand different levels of these corpuses, granularity levels. So one granularity level is that of letters or alphabets or words. So for Alif, Be, Pe, and A, B, C, and from numbers 1 to 10, we have certain gestures for Pakistan Sign Language. And at the same time, for each and every word that we say, we have a reasonably well-defined gesture, which obviously has a lot of variance as of now, because there is no standardization in Pakistan Sign Language. So the second level is that of sentence level. So in order to make a real good translation system, which is going to be performed by a computer, we need to have, it eventually falls into a translation problem. So we have to have a data set, reasonably good sized data set, in which we have source sentences and target sentences. So the sentence structure of the sign languages is reasonably different from descriptive languages, because there are no articles, the words are used in their canonical forms, and the word ordering is also different. So we had to have these corpus of sentences, sentence level corpus, to come up with, to materialize this idea.
So do they have structure? Is there any structure? I mean,
yes. So there is some morphological structure that exists, but again, as we have this very reasonable books of grammars for descriptive languages, we unfortunately do not have those very books or literature available for almost many international sign languages. So this is what we did, as a matter of fact, and we collected a lot of data by involving this deaf community. And we had these source sentences, we engaged them, so we developed a process for that matter, and they translated all those sentences into gestures. And then we wrote those sentences into corresponding English sentences. So that will be just down the line in my presentation, so it will make more clear. So these are several different corpuses which exist. So you see thousands of words or letters, they have gestures, and several different sign languages. The most dominant language so far is American Sign Language, for which we have plenty of tools and corpuses available. So I have tried to cover languages from more or less all parts of the world over here, from different continents. This was something very interesting, that there are some methods which have been used to write a gesture. So these are 4 different widely used methodologies or notations which are used to write sign language gestures. So among them, this hemnosis is very well appreciated and widely used. So this is one of the richest formats which covers manual and non-manual features of a gesture. And then, yes, there exist a lot of language translation systems, and this is one of them. These are the signs of letters. So how are you doing? This is American Sign Language, and this is H, this is O, and this is W. And it is letter based, so it's not convenient or easy, and it's rather unnatural as well at the same time, because generally we have gestures for the words. So if we trickle down to the level of letters, so it's going to be very, very inconvenient for the performer of the gesture or the deaf person, as well as it's going to be very hard for the person who is going to understand these gestures. So this granularity level, and again, it's very trivial to come up with such a system. And Microsoft did some work on multilingual speech to sign language translation. So there are several different languages used here, but unfortunately Pakistan Sign Language is not part of that. Then there is another part of the story as well. It's not just about having a text or say voice and translate it into gestures. It's the other way around as well. You have these gestures, and from those gestures you need to come back to the natural language. So that's yet another facet of the same problem. So there are people who have started working for years and years now. So again, most of the people are working on alphabets or very few words or commonly used words. So I have seen some recent work on Pakistan Sign Language as well. People have started working on this gesture recognition problem in Pakistan. So there are 2 types of methodologies which are being used for this purpose. One is invasive technology, and the other one is non-invasive or software-based technology. Invasive means they have some gloves or some material associated, hardware associated with them. But with these other approaches, it's just about having images or videos, and we process them using different machine learning or deep learning algorithms and try to recognize the gestures. We formulate a classification problem and try to solve it with the available number of classes. Generally, people have worked on few hundred words so far, and obviously the ones which are widely used. So what we did was, we thought that something should be done for Pakistan Sign Language as well. So we started putting things together, and this is the framework we came up with. So it has to have Corpus part, number one, which should cover this dictionary thing. So this dictionary is going to support the whole translation process with its hypnosis part here, which is machine readable portion. So instead of rendering a video or a GIF, what we will do is we will read through this hypnosis and we convert this hypnosis into a gesture. So this is what we aim for. The second middleware part is the translation process, and this sign data bank is going to be used for that matter, and translation models from natural to sign and sign to natural, they are also going to be used in this layer. And then once the translation is done, we move to the third part, and that is towards the exposition of the system. So this system can be exposed in the form of APIs or in the form of services, and there can be several sort of applications can be built, mobile applications or maybe general software which can serve the purpose. So the first thing that we came up with was this Corpus. So in Pakistan, there is an organization called National Institute of Special Education, NICE, which is federally administered, and they have come up with different books. So they are hardware books comprising of a few hundred gestures, and they are circulated among different schools all around the country. And the second noticeable work has been done by Hamza Foundation. This is a school in Lahore, and they have also come up with their own gestures repository, and they have circulated this repository in soft form in Punjab's different regions. The third noticeable work has been done by people in Karachi, FEFS, and this is a Deaf Reach program. They have several different international fundings, and the person, Iftikhar Hussain, the same program that I was referring, Bolte Haath program, he is the person behind that, and they are working on building tools and technologies for sign language, Pakistan Sign Language. I have been trying to contact these people because since we are working for them, so it is very important to bring those people on board. We have good relationships and working relationships in the form of sharing data, evaluating and validating our proof of concept applications with Hamza Foundation. I have written a couple of times to these guys in Karachi, maybe Dr. Sab can help in catching them up down the line, but they have not responded so far. So, but we would like to have a strong communication because they are the ones who have been working for years and years now. So if we join hands together, it will be a great success, and I seriously believe that we can so on. So currently, there is no standardization of Pakistan Sign Language gestures. So the first and foremost, and if I float this idea, I am outrightly rejected. But then I say, if America, which is many times bigger than Pakistan, can have a standard sign language, why can't Pakistan have a standard sign language? What is stopping us from that? So for that matter, we have to have these people on board, and we need to define a reasonably good process. And with our orientation with the research work, how we get things published, I have devised this small little process which is almost a copy of how research is actually published. We do something, we submit it for reviews, and either we get revisions or it gets accepted or it gets rejected. So the same kind of a workflow is present in this. diagram, and what we can do is we can employ crowdsourcing for collecting the gestures data for Pakistan Sign Language. And what we need is that we have to have several different experts for regional as well as say central sign language for the federation. So if we have those people on board, so whosoever wants to contribute can contribute for gestures, and these gestures will be validated by these people, and just in case there needs to be an improvement, the contributor will be asked for the improvement, and down the line we will have a repository for several different sign language gestures for Pakistan Sign Language. So this is like, why can't we use technology to come up with a consensus? Then second part could be adding more and more words to the repository, because now the technologically in terms of medical sciences, engineering and so many other disciplines, we have a lot of words which are seriously unaddressed. There is no gesture available whatsoever, particularly in Pakistan Sign Language. So what we do is we tend to rely on American Sign Language all the time. So there should be a way of creating gestures for your own language as well. So that is another possibility and extension that can be done to this work. So this is like a rubric for the evaluators that, as I just mentioned, that there are two different parts of a gesture, a manual part and a non-manual part. So this is the rubric for manual part, that how is the shape, location, orientation, movement, and non-manual. So one can rate like this, and if at all there are some other comments about which the reviewer wants to make, so they can make such comments, and these comments will be sent back to the contributor, and he can improve the gesture accordingly, and eventually either the gesture should be accepted or whatever. So these are several different formations. You see, this person is performing the gesture. This is the visual image of the object or concept which is being performed by this person. This is in English. We can have an Urdu version as well over here. So several different representations of the same concept in different levels of granularities. So this is called a parallel corpus. This is called a parallel corpus. So one concept with several different orientations and representations. This is our work. We have also started accumulating gestures for Pakistan Sign Language. So this is a student who is studying in UMT. So we have engaged these deaf students to perform gestures. Once they perform gestures, we give them words. So this is what we intend to do. English word, in Urdu, its category, the actual video, and this is the novelty that we have tried to impart in our system. This is hypnosis. What we do is we convert this gesture into this hypnosis. So far we are doing it manually. So an interesting possible work that can be done is that somebody should read this video thing and convert it into appropriate hypnosis. This is something I think can be a reasonably good PhD work as well if somebody jumps into it. So, and it can also be a patent. Nobody has done this so far all around the globe as well. So then there are tools and APIs which exist that convert this hypnosis into a gesture. So if we have this thing, so there is a problem actually. So this is a guy who said read, who performed this gesture of read. So if there is another guy who performed the gesture for jungle. So if we say there was a bear in a jungle. So if I start render the videos of people, what will happen? Number one, it is going to be heavy. Rendering video is always heavy. Number two, there was a guy who did this gesture for bear, and there is yet another guy in a different background who is working or who is performing this gesture of jungle. So it's unnatural, and the user experience will be zero for that kind of an application. So introducing this hypnosis thing into the picture has added a lot of value, and now we can change these avatars as per our choice, male or female, and we can change their clothes, we can zoom in and out. Several different flexibilities are there with us. So these are several different advantages which I have already been mentioning for the creation of Pakistan Sign Language. And obviously, once we get into this big data paradigm and this machine translation paradigm, and if we intend to do or to solve this problem with the help of, say, for that matter, machine learning or deep learning problem, we formulated that as a deep or brief machine learning or deep learning problem, then we have to have a lot of data. And that data is not available so far. So far, what we have done so far is, nobody in Pakistan has worked on this sentence level thing for translation purpose so far. There are some social scientists who have worked on this grammatical part too, partially, but there is no study available that handles this problem for the sake of machine translation. So we are the pioneer ones in this area who intend to translate a natural language text into corresponding Pakistan Sign Language text. So we have created like more than 3,000 sentences so far, and it takes time, it takes effort, and it's tedious because we have to engage more and more people into it who intend to work seriously. That's the problem. So seriousness and engaging people and teaming up is a real good challenge in this whole scenario. So yes, if we manage to do that, it's going to be a real good thing. So with this, sir, your question is going to be become more and more clear. So mother drives a car is an English sentence. Maa gaadi chalati hai. So when we convert it into corresponding sign language sentence, it is maa gaadi chala. Mother car drive. So you see, the order of words is going to be changed. Number one, the words are going to be, particularly the verbs, they are going to be presented in their canonical form. There is no variation of tenses whatsoever. You see, this is past continuous and there is driving, again it's driving. This is future perfect, have driven, it is again translated into drive. So all the verbs are going to be converted into their canonical forms. So we don't have these tenses in, because in descriptive languages we have to write something to present the tense. But in gestural languages we have certain gestures like pull, after, before to express the tense. So this was something which we started learning as we moved on. The process that we defined was we took those grammar books which are generally taught in schools. So we have all these variations of sentences. We created a list of we started with few hundred sentences, and then we asked the deaf community to translate it, and then we had this data based on which we started our work. So obviously with lesser data you cannot rely on machine learning approaches or deep learning approaches. So that's what we did. We started coming up with a rule-based system, and we started coming up with a grammar. So we have now a reasonably good grammar for Pakistan Sign Language, which is like a compiler. So then what we do is we have this English sentence, we convert it into corresponding Pakistan Sign Language sentence. And the second part is that we have these the gestures or the repository for the whole for the corpus, word level as well as the letter level. So that these both things get together and they help us in translating. So this is what happens. So this is the input sentence. If we see, then it is ma gadi chala. So these are the gestures which are actually performed by the system. So this is how it should work. And if we see, so there are three main components of this system. One is the data repository, in which we have word level and sentence level repositories. Then we have this translation model. We are now planning to work on this machine learning and deep learning models. We have now a few thousand sentences, and we intend to work on this. So far we are working on rule-based, and this is our systems working. We have presented several different modules which take part in translating the source sentence into destination sentence. And this is the hypnosis part, and here it is actually performed by a gesture. So this is the diagram. This is the input sentence. It is translated into corresponding sign language equivalent, and then this person performs this gesture. So I would, if possible, I would like to run a couple of videos. So we have a file, we load a file which contains sentences from Pakistan Sign Language. So we asked us to load the first sentence, I went to school, so it converts was, I school, go, and then this performs the gestures based on the losses that we have stored. So this is now all three components, they have been put together, combined together, and we managed to perform these gestures. So we have had some initial tests with the deaf students. We have been working by engaging them reasonably well. So there are some reservations as far as this interpreter is concerned. So we are working on beautifying it, on zooming it up, and so you see these physical appearance of this avatar needs to be improved. But as a proof of concept, it has been lauded widely all across the deaf community, wherever we went. So we also added words for this thirsty crow story. So that was something interesting for the students, and that is like an end-to-end story which helps grabbing the feedback from the subjects of the area. Yeah, second one. So again, it loads this thirsty crow story, and then this lady, it performs all the gestures for the thirsty crow for the students, and yes, that's something which really gives us some good feedback. So we have these systematic ways of gauging this feedback in terms of the quality, in terms of user experience, in terms of the accuracy of translation, etc. So yes, we are doing it in a more scientific manner over there. So, but here I'm just presenting this demo to make all the people understand how things are jammed together to obtain this objective. So he, by the way, in that, good enough. So come back to the presentation. So if we manage to do this, the next thing is to engage more and more people into this activity, because it's very hard, it's very subjective, and it needs involvement of more and more people to give it a scale, to give it a good quality. So last slide, the road slide. So what we need to do is the following. We need to work on standardization of Pakistan Sign Language. Regional variants and different gestures should also be there. We need to work on the extension of Pakistan Sign Language to define the words for modern technologies. There are no words even for many mainstream words, widely used real life words are not there. So applications for general public could be a remote interpreter. The example which I just started with, that there is a person who is lecturing in the school or a college. So if the teacher provides a lecture in textual format, so the student can see this lecture as many times as he feels like. So that can be something very, very useful for improving the quality of learning for the deaf community. The available data on the internet, he copies and pastes a word, Wikipedia page, and asks the translation for Pakistan Sign Language, it will work. So this way things will open up for the people in the deaf community, and they will be able to learn from several different sources and with a lot of flexibility and ease. And obviously, I mean, these applications can be built on several different other areas as well, train station, departmental store, and domain-specific applications can also be generated like this. And the second portion, gesture recognition, if that is also worked on, and we combine this will complete the whole loop. So bi-direction communication will also be possible, and it is going to be fantastic down the line. Thank you very much for your attention.
I was wondering that since you are working on a very good aim of giving some way of communication to deaf people, and I believe that the majority of the deaf people like to communicate, in Urdu. So obviously that's one way of having an audio-based interpretation. So right now you have a typing-based interpretation that someone can type and can generate this interpretation. But maybe it's something straight, and audio-based, it's solely based on Urdu. So that way, that's a bigger challenge because the context of the Urdu language has to be complete part, and then when you talk about Pakistan Sign Language, is it and the signs of those will they be based on Urdu or on English or what's the so there are then a couple of questions.
This second or latter question has been asked by every person to whom I have presented this work. So the question is that this one. So if we have mother, right, or if we have mom, the gesture is going to be the same for this. So this gesture makes it Pakistan Sign Language. It is mother, it's ma, or it's ummi, or it's whatever in any other language. What is going to differentiate is this gesture. So in Arabic Sign Language, it's going to be a different gesture. In Pakistan, it's going to be different. In American Sign Language, it's going to be different. So with this textual representation, what we do is it helps us in rearrangement of the sentence and all that. So even if it is in Urdu or is in English, it serves the purpose. This is the latter part. But yes, the first part is very interesting. We have, I did not present that work here, but we have done it for English. A prototype study has been conducted. There are APIs available for English language recognition, right? So for English text or English voice, we have basically eventually the voice is converted into text, and then this thing is there waiting for it, and it completes the purpose.
Right.
So for Urdu, yes, there is a need to work on Urdu voice recognition. Once Urdu voice recognition has been done, that can be further extended, like linked with this thing. Then we either can have, there are again two ways of doing it, either Urdu to say English translation maybe, and then this system comes into play, or we can have a seamlessly working system for Urdu all the way. But that's why the reason for choosing English is very simple and straightforward, because we don't have tools and technologies available in Urdu. So that's why we do. For the level that we have in English.
So in KICS we have developed ASR system, and we can actually, if you have a text, we can convert it into speech, and if you have speech, we can convert it to text.
Or Urdu.
For Urdu.
Right.
So I was just thinking that, we might have that the demo in the exhibition as well.
Great.
You can see that as well. So what I was saying is that if we link together, then we can actually jump from anything, from text to sign, or from sign to text, or maybe sign to video, or whatever, we can do some translation or something.
Yes, so from natural language to this gesture, that process can be improved in many different ways if we have the access to those libraries that you have developed.
Right.
So that can be a real good thing to go on.
One thing what we have done was in the context of blind people. So what we have a reader. So if you have a document that can be, let's say, Urdu, so they can actually just present it. and then that document is converted to OCR into text, and then text is then made readable, or not, audible.
Yeah.
Audible. So that can also be done.
And also, I mean, another good step would be to have it move to a mobile-based app, because instead of opening my laptop and
So exposition, we are not going into the exposition so far.
Yeah, but
Because
that's
we
very
just
good.
wanted to get things done.
Yeah.
Now there can be survey.
So one question that confuses me, that maybe since you have a domain knowledge, you can explain it. So how do that community reads? I mean, they read just like a natural language, or do they can only read the language that you show?
So the ones who go to college or school, they slowly and gradually they become fluent in written English. They tend to understand, they start understanding it. But from the very core, they don't like it. Because they have their own sentence structure and variation, as you can see here. So they dominantly like we think in maybe Punjabi and Urdu, and then we get into this English thing. So exactly this is the same way for them, because from the beginning, because not many of them go to the school. So the ones who go to school or university, they have reasonably good understanding of scriptive language, word order, and variations. But those who do not go, they are not fluent in that.
Because my understanding was that maybe this is only for like a person-to-person communication, having face-to-face contact, or maybe a group of people talking to each other. It's not like the medium that you use when you record something and then you send a video and other people see what they say.
So no, they do understand written things, because it's the capitalization is on the very fact that on both ends there are humans, they are not machines. So human interpretation is like that brings flexibility to whatever the system is. So if you have some text written and scrambled in one way or the other, so the other person who is deaf, if he manages to read those words, he is going to make sense out of it. He is going to imagine for those gestures, for those words, and he'll be able to understand. It's just like अगर हमारा भी बच्चा हमें text भेजता है, छोटा बच्चा स्कूल, and he has just started learning words, so we'll make sense of it कि ये क्या कहना चाह रहा है, even though it's not in reasonably good scriptive language context. So that's how they
तो हम आपको अपना सिस्टम दिखाएंगे.
Sure, ये बड़ा ज़बरदस्त हो जाएगा.
सर मैं जो समझा हूँ कि ये साइन लैंग्वेज के लिए आप एक इंजन बनाना चाह रहे हैं, जो कि ट्रांसलेशन इंजन, जो कि आइदर वे वर्क करेगा. उसकी इनपुट पे आपको लैंग्वेज मिल जाएगी, आउटपुट पे आपको साइन मिल जाएगी, एंड द अदर वे. सो और आपने जिक्र किया कि आपको इस वक्त ज़रूरत इस चीज़ की है कि इस पर ज़्यादा काम हो. सो आई वाज लुकिंग एट द abbreviation, it's PSL, right? So why not have a PSL tournament? Like you have tournament for blockchain and AI, you have the PSL. No, it's
yes, लेकिन ये हमारा जो थोड़ा सा एक डिफरेंस आ जाता है, ये जो सोशल साइंस के लोग होते हैं और जो हम इंजीनियरिंग वाले लोग होते हैं, हमारा थोड़ा सा काम करने का और सोचने का तरीका फ़र्क होता है. तो अभी हम ये सोच रहे हैं कि कुछ वर्कशॉप्स वगैरह, आई एम नॉट श्योर कि आप किससे लिया थे, लेकिन वो वर्कशॉप्स वगैरह कोई अरेंज करें जिसमें हम इस चीज़ को आइडिया को एटलीस्ट फ्लोट करें.
दूसरा
आपसे अच्छा हो जाएगा कि लोगों को समझ आना शुरू हो जाएगा कि हम क्या चाह रहे हैं, और उनकी तरफ से भी अच्छी इनपुट आएगी. अभी वो बड़े रिलक्टेंट होते हैं, दे स्टार्ट फीलिंग इनसिक्योर इन सेवरल डिफरेंट सेंसेस. वो समझते हैं, इंटरप्रेटर समझता है मेरी नौकरी चली जाएगी, और इस तरह के कई सारे मसाइल का हमें सामने है. लोग कॉर्पोरेट
as we are making progress, we have new devices which are coming in, right? So अगर आप कहेंगे, for example, 10 years before, we don't have this common use of this mobile phone. So obviously, this Pakistan Sign Language, which you are taking this initiative, has to be adapted, and it should take new words.
Yes, it should.
So that's the next step perhaps, but this is what
It should. And this is what they actually do. So they start borrowing words from American Sign Language,
Right.
all the way.
Right.
तो उसकी वजह से बड़ी मिसकॉन्सेप्शन भी है। हमजा फाउंडेशन कहता है कि जी वो FEFS ने 5000 वर्ड्स कराची में इकट्ठे किए हैं, लेकिन उसमें बहुत सारे जो है वो अमेरिकन साइन लैंग्वेज हैं। तो डोमिनेंट रीजन फॉर दैट इज कि पाकिस्तान साइन लैंग्वेज में किसी ने बनाई, वो जैसे बनाएंगे तो लफ्ज़ आएगा।
उसमें अगर गवर्नमेंट इन्वॉल्वमेंट हो जाए या गवर्नमेंट इंस्टीट्यूशन की इन्वॉल्वमेंट हो जाए तो स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन होने में सपोर्ट मिल सकती है। आई थिंक वो एक रेफरेंस बन जाए।
जरा यहाँ पे कोशिश की थी गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे, हमजा फाउंडेशन के थ्रू लोगों को अप्रोच किया था, बट
अगेन that may be a challenge, but still you know it will help अगर गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से गवर्नमेंट की एक रिप्रेजेंटेशन बन जाती है ना तो वो रेफरेंस बन जाता है, उसको कोई हिला नहीं सकता। दूसरा आपके जो
एक अच्छी जगह पहुंच गए और कुछ
आपके जो
मटीरियलाइजेशन और ज़्यादा बेहतर हो जाए।
फाइनल ये प्रोजेक्ट्स में बच्चों को एंगेज कर सकते हैं आप इसी काम के।
बिल्कुल यही कर रहे हैं।
आई थिंक वो तो ढूंढ रहे होते हैं कोई ऐसा हो कैची कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी हो कि
दिस इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग। थैंक यू वेरी मच। सॉरी बिग डाटा का वो मैंने करना था, लेकिन वो मैं वर्चुअल यूनिवर्सिटी में इंशाल्लाह होगा 1 दिसंबर को, तो उसमें आई एम गोइंग टू प्रेजेंट दिस डिज़ाइन चैलेंजेस फॉर बिग डाटा सिस्टम। सो मेरी डोमिनेंट डोमेन जो है जिसमें मैं पहले काम किया करता था और अभी भी कर रहा हूँ वो ये इंफॉर्मेशन रिट्रीवल बिग डाटा की ही है, तो उसमें इंशाल्लाह मैं वहाँ पे प्रेजेंट करूँगा। इफ एनीबॉडी वांट्स टू जॉइन, थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, Dr. Adnan, for such an enlightening talk.